No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that is a part most people never hear, because the words people speak are only half the story. The other half is what you keep agreeing with inside yourself. That is where the pain starts, not always from what they say, but from the part of you that starts believing it. There is a feeling a lot of people carry in silence. No matter how much they do, it still does not feel like enough. They achieve something, then move the line. They get praise, then dismiss it. They make progress, then focus on what still is missing. And deep down, they keep asking the same question: why do I still not feel enough? The answer is usually not about effort. It is about where you learn to measure yourself. A lot of people grew up learning that love has to be earned, that approval has to be chased, that rest has to be deserved, that mistakes make you less valuable. So they spend their lives trying to prove that they matter, even after they already do. That kind of thinking does not disappear when you get older. It follows you. It turns into perfectionism. It turns into self-doubt. It turns into the habit of never feeling satisfied with yourself. And the worst part is, people can look strong on the outside while feeling empty on the inside. They keep going. They keep producing. They keep showing up. But they do it with a quiet fear that if they stop, they will stop being worth something. That is not a discipline problem. That is a wound. It happens often that you do not feel enough because you learn to see your value through other people's reactions. If people praised you, you felt okay. If they ignored you, you questioned yourself. If they approved, you relaxed. If they disapproved, you shrank. Over time, you stopped trusting your own sense of worth. You let the outside world decide how you feel about yourself. And that is a hard way to live, because people are inconsistent. Their opinions change, their moods change, their attention changes. If your worth depends on that, your peace will always feel unstable. The lie behind this is, if I do more, I will finally feel enough. If I become more impressive, I will finally feel enough. If I become thinner, smarter, richer, calmer, stronger, then I will finally feel enough. But that moment keeps moving. The finish line never stays still. So you keep chasing a feeling that never arrives. Because the problem is not your ability. The problem is the rule you're using to judge yourself. You're trying to earn what should have been given to you from the start. And then you lose the sense of what enough really means. Enough does not mean perfect. Enough does not mean finished. Enough does not mean you never make mistakes. Enough means you're already worthy of care, respect, and honesty, even while you're still growing. That changes everything. Because once you stop treating your life like a test you have to pass, you start treating it like something you're allowed to live. You stop seeing every flaw as proof that you're failing. You start seeing its growth for what it is, a process, not a verdict. It is easy to change, easier than people think. You just start by noticing your inner language. Pay attention to the moments when you move the goal again. Pay attention to the moments when you dismiss your own progress. Pay attention to the moments when you act like rest is laziness and progress is never real unless it hurts. Then answer those thoughts honestly. Did you do enough for today? Did you show up? Did you try? Did you keep going when it would have been easier to stop? If the answer is yes, then stop pushing yourself for not being a machine. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to grow without earning your right to exist. And the deeper truth is, this feeling does not always come from one big moment. Sometimes it comes from a lifetime of small ones. Being compared, being corrected, being told to do better, being made to feel like your value lived just out of reach. So you start carrying this quiet pressure everywhere you go. You work harder, speak better, try to become harder to question. But the more you chase that feeling, the more it slips away. Because it was never really about doing enough. It was about believing, somewhere along the way, that who you were on your own was not quite enough to hold on to. That is what makes this so painful. Not the standards, not the expectations, the silence underneath them. The part of you that learned to keep proving, keep pleasing, keep performing, just to avoid feeling small. And maybe that is why this stays with you, even when life looks so good from the outside. Because the wound does not always show itself in failure. It shows itself in success that still feels empty. Because it was never really about doing enough. It was about believing, somewhere along the way, that who you were on your own was not quite enough to hold on to. That is what makes this so painful. Not the standards, not the expectations, the silence underneath them. The part of you that learned to keep proving, keep pleasing, keep performing, just to avoid feeling small. And maybe that is why this stays with you, even when life looks good from the outside. Because the wound does not always show itself in failure. Sometimes it shows itself in success that still feels empty. That is the part that people do not talk about enough. You can become everything you thought you wanted, and still feel like you're missing something if you never learn how to stand beside yourself without judgment. So when that feeling shows up again, do not rush to bury it. Sit with it. Ask where it came from. Ask who taught you that being human was not enough. Because healing starts there. Not when you become more, when you finally stop leaving yourself behind. And maybe that is a real turning point. Not when the world changes, not when the noise stops, but when you finally decide that your worth will no longer be negotiated by the mouths of other people. When their opinions stop becoming your identity, when their doubt stops becoming your ceiling, when their judgment stops feeling like a verdict. Because the moment you stop consenting to that, something in you rises. Quietly at first, then all at once. You stand a little straighter. You speak a little clearer. You carry yourself like your life belongs to you again. And maybe that is what freedom really is. Not the absence of criticism, not the absence of pain, but the refusal to let either one decide who you are. So let them talk. Let them judge. Let them misunderstand. You were never built to live inside their limits. You were built to outgrow them.